I'm Andrew Redfern, I'm Chief Executive of Framework. Framework is a charity that works with vulnerable and excluded people, around 8,000 of them every year, and they present to us in a range of circumstances. There are people who are sleeping rough, people in life-threatening situations, major health problems, people who need specialist support, or people who just need a degree of assistance in the short term to help prevent them getting into difficulty. This video is being made to highlight the work that Framework does with thousands of people in such a wide variety of circumstances, some of them in acute and urgent need. Many of the services that we provide are at risk due to funding cuts, either of disappearing altogether or of being cut so drastically that they can no longer work effectively with the people who need them. When Framework began, the focus of the work was on tackling crisis situations. People with nowhere to go, people who needed specialist help, people who were sleeping rough, people who were at immediate risk. That work still goes on, but we also do a great deal more preventative work, intervening in situations where people are beginning to have difficulty paying their rent, dealing with the responsibilities of a tenancy, staying in a job, staying in contact with their family or the services that they need. And that combination of prevention and dealing with situations after they've occurred is effective. This video concentrates on 5 key elements of Framework's work, all of which are vital if we're to be effective and all of which need strong public support. 1. Preventing crisis, and especially preventing homelessness. 2. Where people have been homeless and are living in our hostels or supported housing, developing with them the skills they're going to need for independent living. 3. Tackling rough sleeping. 4. Providing skills for employability through placements in social enterprise and real work. 5. Involving more people in the work that we do, especially through opportunities for volunteering.
I'm Sarah Lloyd. I'm Framework Specialist Housing Advisor. I'm a lawyer and I help keep people in their homes. I think the prevalent situation we find most of our clients in at the moment are mortgage arrears and repossession. The benefit of our service is to underpin and complement our floating support service. So if they can sort out benefits, housing benefits, we can go to court, we can make representation to save the home. Last month we prevented between 15 and 20 families becoming homeless by way of legal intervention in the court. If we hadn't been there, I would like to think some of them would have got to court and made their own representation, but somehow I doubt it. It's very difficult because of the recent cuts. It's very difficult now to find good advice.
My name is Miss Winsome Whyte. I came across Framework because I was having difficulty paying my mortgage. I got into my situation because of ill health. I was suffering with sciatica. I was off work for a year and I was struggling a lot. I worked out my finance with Framework, spoke to the solicitor, and then what we agreed, I processed the payment as such as I pay my mortgage and pay so much of my arrears. I'm back at work. I'm quite happy. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm so pleased that, the situation is sort of leveled out. I don't know where I'll be if Framework didn't step in for me. I'll be sitting here wondering, tearing my hair out.
I'm Wendy Marshall. I'm a supported housing worker at Elizabeth House. It's a framework hostel which houses 21 people. When people move into their own tenancies, they face an awful lot of issues, simple stuff that people take for granted. You know, these can be a wide number of things that you wouldn't think of, things like cleaning for yourself, cooking meals. Skills for Independence is a great bunch of workshops which people can just go to. They cover all sorts of areas, but areas obviously designed to help people move on and have their own tenancies. The biggest being budgeting. We're very stretched, you know, there's an awful lot of stuff we like to do, and I think, you know, it's getting difficult now with staff shortages. The cooks have definitely made a difference. If this help isn't available, people will lose their tenancies and become homeless again and end up on the circuit. And, you know, where does it end? I think this help's invaluable for people to help them move on. And we've had some great successes in the past.
My name's Andy Bruff. I lived with a partner for 6 years. The reason I'm in framework is, like I said, I lost my son last year, so I was on a depression mood. Me and my missus split up. I ended up sleeping on people's settees. On October the 11th, I moved into Elizabeth House, where I am now. Since I've been in here, I've been getting the support I've wanted with my depression. They've learnt me how to manage my money. They've given me the independence back I need, like cooking, cleaning, keeping myself hygienic and be able to communicate with people, because I'm now volunteering, voluntary, and hopefully get a job and settle down, work for the future. Because, you know, that's the whole aim of being in here, to get myself a new future, a new life. Without framework and societies and buildings like this, there'd be more people on the streets. And to be honest, I think there'd be more crime on the streets as well if that happened, because they'd have nowhere to go, so they've got to turn to that to get the food and the money and stuff.
I'm Jason Marriott. I'm the team leader of the Street Outreach Team, which is a Nottingham City Council funded team that works directly with rough sleepers in Nottingham City with the aim of getting them off the streets as quickly as possible and into accommodation. Our aim is to identify rough sleepers, respond to intelligence about where rough sleepers are, engage those rough sleepers as quickly as possible, put in interventions, do thorough assessments and offer pathways out of that lifestyle. I think the Street Outreach Team in Nottingham is vital in the current climate in terms of cuts to services. I mean, there is an increase in rough sleepers and it's vital that we get to those rough sleepers as early as possible. Evidence shows that the longer somebody's on the streets, the more entrenched they become, the harder they are to engage, and the more difficult it is to get them off the streets and into accommodation. In terms of, you know, numbers, you know, we're working with up to 50 people at a time. You know, we're accommodating 150 people a quarter, you know, into various services, and without that team going out and doing that, we'd see an even more visible problem of sleeping on the streets.
Hi, my name's Andy. I'm a former rough sleeper of Nottingham Town, and I was found by Framework. 2 years ago, I had a bar in Tenerife where it was pretty successful until the tourist industry started to take a bit of a knock. But I was suffering, I think, with depression after losing both my parents. They both passed away in the space of a year, followed by my uncle, and then it was my wife walking out on me, taking my daughter. I came across Framework, well I should say Framework came across me. It was the outreach team. It took me into, it was a shelter. They gave me a cup of tea. They said, well, we've sorted some accommodation out for you. And I was like, how? It was heaven. My life now is working for Framework as a face-to-face fundraiser. I don't want people to be in that position like I was. And if I can help in any way, I will do. And that's what I'm doing.
My name is Al Williams. I'm the business manager for the workshop and for the estate management enterprises. We're here today in Bulwell at our practical skills workshop. In here is the base for our practical enterprises, but also for the training skills that we do. So we have a woodwork skills session, we have painting and decorating, and the bike club. For each individual, it's a different thing. For some people, it could be about getting out of the house, about improving their situation through exclusion, mental health, substance misuse. Some people, it's about discovering old skills, learning new ones. Other people, it's about being part of something positive, giving something back. And primarily, we're hoping to get people further closer towards the job market, and we successfully do that. Last year, just on the individual on the painting scheme, we had 10 people that moved into full-time employment. Without us, there would be a significant gap in education on a practical basis for vulnerable people, certainly through in Nottinghamshire.
My name is Pagett. I'm a support worker at Framework Housing Association here in Worksop. It's a 12-bed hostel. I was a drug user for like 11 years, spent periods of time street homeless, and basically it culminated into getting sent to prison. There's a thing called the WISE course, and it's working into sustainable employment, and it's a 4-week course. You'll go there, you'll see what it's like to be a support worker. You learn everything about like the support work you do, the clients you work with, and then it moves into a volunteer placement with a chance of a paid traineeship at the end of it. Within a year of leaving prison, I'm actually employed by Framework. And that's what's good about Framework. They'll give you the opportunities, it's up to you what you do with them. If Framework hadn't come along, I'd think like, I could have ended up back in prison. I could have ended up dead. That's the biggest fear, the unknown of what could have happened to me.
Hi, I'm Omied Hallam. I'm volunteer coordinator at Framework Housing Association. Currently, we have around about 230 active long-term volunteers. Volunteers are really important, more so over the last year or so with all the cutbacks. What's happening is within teams, people are having less staff, and we're still trying to provide the same quality of service. Now, the idea of a volunteering a lot of the time is that they will not substitute a staff member, but they'll try to help the staff carry on doing the same quality of service we were doing before. Part of the volunteering is we offer expenditures for volunteers. So a volunteer will volunteer their hours, but as an organisation, we don't expect them to pay for it. So all those out-of-pocket expenses and setting up and all the training and stuff like that is raised through fundraising, sort of like through donations and that sort of stuff. A lot of that money comes through there. Primarily what would happen is if we stopped all the volunteers, the service users would be affected the most, because it's that extra support the volunteers give for service users. And it will really affect, I think it will quite drastically affect people's sort of lives.
My name is Paul Hall, and I'm a volunteer mentor here at Eve Framework. I was in custody for 10.5 months. It wasn't the best time of my life. On my release, it was difficult getting a job being an ex-offender. I helped the staff at 38 Bentic Road and helped support them to support the youngsters that are recommended to us on a day-to-day basis, such as getting them to college, appointments with doctors, dentists, anything that they need support in. That's what we're here to do. I just thought I'd volunteer to see if that would help me, which volunteering with Framework has learnt me a lot and gave me a lot of skills.
As you've seen from this video, the services offered by Framework are needed now more than ever before. At the same time as many of those services have experienced huge cuts to their funding, more people are coming to us for help. The level of rough sleeping is increasing. Waiting lists for hostels are going up. It's taking longer for people to find move-on accommodation, and there are more people with rent arrears or problems with their mortgage. We're doing everything we can to continue with our services, especially those that work with people in the greatest need, those who are least able to help themselves. We're appealing to the public, to all the individuals and organisations who care about the community in which they live, who want to know about our work and want to support it, to do so as much as they can. Please help Framework.
Please help Framework.
Please help.
Please support Framework.
Please help Framework.
Please continue to support Framework as you have done.
Framework needs every support they can get.
Please help Framework to help others.